At just 18 years old, Elena was already living a life of quiet routine. She worked as a waitress at a small neighborhood cafe, trying to save enough money to attend college someday. She was humble and kind, always with a warm smile on her face, serving coffee and pastries to the same regulars every day. She had no idea that her world was about to change forever. One rainy afternoon, as Elena hurried through the crowded streets to get to work, she accidentally bumped into someone towering and imposing. It was a man dressed sharply, but with an air of danger that made her heart skip a beat. She spilled her tray of coffee all over his tailored coat, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. She looked up to apologize, expecting an angry glare or harsh words. Instead, he simply looked down at her with piercing eyes and a faint, almost absent smile. That man was Victor Russo, a name whispered in fear and respect across the city. Widowed and powerful, Victor was the head of one of the most feared Mafia families. His reputation was built on strength, silence, and a ruthless sense of justice. Yet in that moment, all Elena saw was a man who appeared human, vulnerable even, despite his commanding presence. As she stammered apologies, he simply reached into his pocket and pulled out a handkerchief, offering it to her in a gesture that seemed surprisingly gentle. "Are you all right?" he asked softly, his voice surprisingly calm despite the chaos around them. Elena nodded quickly, still flustered, and hurried away, her heart pounding. Over the next few days, fate kept bringing Elena and Victor together. She started working at a luxurious estate owned by his family, unaware of his true identity. It was a humble girl in a grand house, often feeling out of place among opulence. Yet Victor's watchful eyes lingered on her, noticing her sincerity amid the unfamiliarity. One evening, Elena found herself in trouble. She had lost her way in a dangerous part of town, surrounded by shadows and unfamiliar faces. Suddenly, Victor appeared out of nowhere, his imposing figure cutting through the darkness like a shield. Without hesitation, he stepped in, escorting her safely home. That act of kindness, from someone so powerful and feared, left her both grateful and confused. Their encounters grew more frequent, and Elena sensed a conflict within Victor, a man burdened by secrets, yet capable of unexpected tenderness. She wondered, could someone so dangerous also be kind? Could she trust someone with a past so dark? And what did fate really have in store for her? In that moment, standing face to face with a man who held the world in his hands, Elena asked herself, is love possible when the heart is torn between innocence and power? Could she survive the storm that was Victor Russo, or would she be swept away forever? If you found yourself captivated by Elena's story, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more intriguing stories, and comment below. Where are you watching from? Because this is just the beginning of a saga that no one could have ever predicted. At just 18 years old, Lily had always lived a simple life. She was a quiet girl, attending college by day, working as a part-time waitress by night to support her family. Her world was small, humble, and predictable, until the day her life was turned upside down by an arrangement she never saw coming. She was given to a powerful, widowed Mafia boss, a man whose reputation alone sent shivers through the city. His name was Viktor Malkovich, a man shrouded in mystery, authority, and an icy coldness that seemed to freeze anyone who crossed his path. Their worlds could not be more different. Lily, with her modest clothes and innocent eyes, belonged to the realm of everyday struggles and quiet hope. Victor, with his tailored suits, commanding presence, and a gaze that saw through people like glass, belonged to a universe of power and danger. She was a girl from the streets, and he was a man whose hands wielded influence over life and death. The moment their paths crossed, the contrast was impossible to ignore. It happened in the grand, shadowy mansion that Victor called home, an imposing fortress filled with silent corridors and guarded secrets. Lily was brought there under the weight of her new reality, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and indignation. She had been told her fate was sealed, that her life now belonged to him. The first time Victor saw her, he stood in the doorway of the ornate hall, his imposing figure casting a long shadow over her small frame. His expression was unreadable, an unreadable mask hiding layers of cold authority. She felt her stomach tighten as he approached, his footsteps deliberate and heavy. His eyes, dark and piercing, fixed on her with a gaze that seemed to strip her bare of all pretense. There was no warmth there, only the weight of command. Victor's voice was low and precise as he spoke, his words carrying an unmistakable authority. "You are to remain here. You are under my protection now." His tone was firm, almost dismissive, as if she was nothing more than a piece on a chessboard. Lily's heart fluttered with a strange mixture of fear and fascination. She wanted to recoil, to reject the coldness he exuded, yet she couldn't help but notice the small gesture that betrayed something deeper. As he turned to leave, Victor paused, giving her a brief glance over his shoulder. It was a glance so brief yet so intense, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. A silent message, perhaps? A warning? Or maybe an unspoken promise? The stark contrast between their worlds was undeniable. Lily's life was full of uncertainty, small victories, and daily struggles, while Victor's was built on control, secrets, and a ruthless sense of order. She didn't belong in his universe. She was merely a pawn in a game she didn't understand. Yet, in that fleeting moment, when his eyes met hers, there was an undeniable spark. Something unspoken passed between them, a hint that beneath his cold exterior, there was a man capable of something more than just authority. As she stood there, trembling slightly, Lily wondered, could this icy, powerful man ever feel something real? Did he see her as just another possession, or was there a flicker of something human behind his stoic facade? And what would happen if those worlds collided? Would the fear she felt turn into fascination? Or would her indignation ignite a rebellion she couldn't control? In that silent, charged moment, Lily asked herself, is it possible to find something genuine in a place built on power and secrets? Or was her fate sealed to be nothing more than a pawn in Viktor Malkovich's ruthless game? If this story intrigues you, leave a like, subscribe for more stories that defy expectations, and comment below, where are you watching from? Because what happens next is beyond anyone's wildest imagination. At just 18, Lily had grown accustomed to a life of quiet struggles and steady hope. She worked tirelessly as a waitress in a small cafe, dreaming of a future beyond her modest neighborhood. She never imagined that her life was about to take a turn so drastic, so impossible to comprehend. The day she was handed over to Viktor Malkovich, the feared and powerful Mafia boss, everything changed. The man was a legend, widely known for his ruthlessness and cold authority. Tall, impeccably dressed, with piercing eyes that seemed to see straight through her, Victor commanded every room he entered. She was barely more than a child, and he looked like a force of nature, an unmovable mountain of power. Their first real interaction was charged with tension. Victor summoned her to a cold, dimly lit room, his voice calm but unwavering. "You will learn your place here," he said, the words almost a warning. Lily, trembling but defiant, shot back. "I'm not some possession to be owned. I have my own life, my own dreams." His eyes narrowed, and for a moment, a flicker of something unspoken passed between them. There was a pause, an uneasy silence, until Victor finally spoke, voice low and gravelly. "You don't understand the world you've been given to. It's not a place for dreams, only survival." Their conversations often danced on the edge of confrontation. She refused to be broken, and he, despite his cold exterior, couldn't help but feel a strange pull toward her resilience. Over time, their interactions became more frequent. Sometimes they clashed. She challenged his authority, questioning his choices, trying to see the man behind the myth. Other times, they exchanged heated words that revealed glimpses of vulnerability. One evening, during a rare moment of quiet, Victor sat alone in his office, staring at a photograph of a woman and a child he kept hidden away. His jaw clenched, a shadow of pain crossing his face. Lily noticed it, and her heart softened. She hesitated before speaking. "You're not just a monster, are you?" she asked softly. Victor looked up, surprised at her honesty. "No," he admitted after a pause. "But I've had to become one to survive. Things I wish I could forget, but they haunt me still." That rare admission broke through some of the icy barriers between them. Lily saw the pain behind his steely eyes, and for the first time, she understood that beneath his cold exterior, there was a man scarred by his past. Victor, in turn, began to see her not as a fragile girl, but as someone with strength he lacked. During those moments of vulnerability, a subtle yet undeniable spark ignited, an attraction born not of superficial desire, but of mutual understanding. Lily's struggles with her family's financial hardships, her fight to keep her dignity, and her desire for a different life, all contrasted sharply with Victor's hidden pain and the burdens of his power. As they continued to share these fragments of themselves, an argument here, a quiet confession there, their connection deepened. It was a fragile, dangerous thing, something that neither of them fully understood or dared to name. Yet, in those stolen moments, the walls they had built around their hearts began to crack. Victor found himself drawn to her resilience, her refusal to accept her circumstances. Lily, despite her fear, was captivated by the man who hid so much pain behind his cold veneer. And as their worlds collided, so different yet unexpectedly intertwined, they both felt something stirring beneath the surface. A flicker of hope, maybe even something more. But the question lingered, could two souls so different truly find a way to meet in the middle? Or would their pasts and their worlds forever keep them apart? As Lily looked into Victor's eyes that day, she wondered, is this just the beginning of something dangerous, or the start of something real? If you're captivated by their story so far, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more, and comment below, where are you watching from? Because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew. At 18, Lily had believed she knew her place in the world, simple, humble, filled with dreams of a better future. But everything changed the day she was handed over to Viktor Malkovich, the feared Mafia boss whose reputation cast a shadow over the city. She was nothing more than a pawn in a game much bigger than herself, thrust into a world of danger, power, and secrets she couldn't begin to understand. Their connection had started quietly, glances, heated arguments, moments of vulnerability, but now, it was something that could threaten everything. Victor's reputation was a fortress, built on ruthlessness and fear. No one questioned his authority, and anyone who did often ended up paying a heavy price. For Lily, the growing bond between them was dangerous enough. But the outside world saw it differently. Rumors spread fast, whispers of a forbidden relationship that could ignite a war. Friends and enemies alike recognized Victor's enemies wouldn't hesitate to use her as leverage. The very idea of them together was a threat to his empire, a weakness that could be exploited. The headlines would scream betrayal, scandal, and treachery. Family opposition was just as fierce. Victor's past was riddled with enemies, former allies turned foes, power struggles, and deadly betrayals. His reputation was stained with violence, and any hint of scandal could unravel years of careful control. Lily's family, meanwhile, was desperate to keep her away from such a dangerous man. They saw Victor as a monster, a threat to their daughter's future, and they would stop at nothing to keep her safe, even if it meant tearing her away from the only person who truly understood her. But the most dangerous secret of all was Victor's own past, one that could destroy them both if it ever came to light. Beneath his cold exterior lay scars of betrayal and loss, secrets he fought to hide. If those secrets were revealed, it wouldn't just threaten his reputation, it could cost him everything he built. As their relationship deepened, so did the risks. Every glance, every touch, became a gamble. Rumors swirled. They whispered about what Victor might do if his enemies found out about her. Would he sacrifice her to protect himself? Would she be used as a pawn in a deadly game? The weight of their forbidden connection pressed down on them, making every moment together more precious, yet more dangerous. It became painfully clear that for them to be together, they'd have to face something much bigger than their own feelings, an entire world that wanted to see them torn apart. Victor's enemies were watching, waiting for any sign of weakness. His reputation was a weapon, wielded to crush those who dared oppose him. And Lily? She was caught in the crossfire of a war she didn't understand, her innocence threatened by the dark realities of Victor's world. The question haunted her, could love truly survive when it was built on secrets, lies, and danger? Or would their bond be just another casualty in a war they couldn't control? As Lily looked into Victor's eyes, she realized that their love was more fragile than she had ever imagined, something that might shatter under the weight of the truth. But she also knew that walking away meant losing everything. And deep down, she wondered, was love enough to defy the odds, or would they be destined to be torn apart by forces far beyond their control? If you're captivated by their stories so far, leave a like, subscribe for more, and comment below, where are you watching from? Because what's coming next will change everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and power. At 18, Lily had already learned that her world was a fragile place, full of boundaries she dared not cross. But when she was handed over to Viktor Malkovich, the notorious Mafia boss, all those boundaries began to blur. Despite the danger that surrounded him, his reputation for ruthlessness, his cold, commanding presence, something about Victor drew her in irresistibly. Their stolen moments started quietly, almost unintentionally. A glance across a dimly lit room, a lingering look when they thought no one was watching. Lily caught herself often watching him from a distance, her heart pounding whenever their eyes met. Victor, for all his authority and icy exterior, seemed captivated by her too, though he masked it carefully behind a mask of indifference. Their connection grew stronger with each passing day, despite the chaos threatening to tear them apart. One evening, as the mansion's grand hall emptied and the silence settled, Victor found her standing by the balcony, gazing out at the city lights flickering below. Without a word, he approached, his steps deliberate and slow. As he reached her side, he didn't speak. Instead, he simply looked at her, deep, intense eyes that seemed to see through every layer of her defenses. Lily felt her breath catch as he reached out, gently brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. His touch was tender, almost hesitant, in stark contrast to the ruthless reputation that preceded him. The air between them grew heavy with unspoken longing. Despite the risks, the whispers of enemies watching, the disapproval of their worlds, they couldn't help themselves. Their proximity grew closer, their breaths mingling in the quiet darkness. Victor's hand lingered on her cheek, and for a moment, the entire universe seemed to pause. Lily's fingers trembled as she reached out, her hand resting on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath the tailored fabric. Their eyes locked, two souls daring to defy the rules, risking everything for a stolen moment of truth. In that instant, Victor's voice was barely a whisper, yet it carried all the weight of his unspoken feelings. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice rough with emotion. But neither of them moved away. Instead, Lily stepped closer, her voice trembling but firm. "I don't care. I can't stay away anymore." The words hung in the air, a daring declaration of love against all odds. Their lips met in a kiss that was both urgent and fragile. It was a kiss born of rebellion, of longing, of two hearts pounding in defiance of the world's rules. In that moment, they were no longer just a girl and a mafia boss. They were two people risking everything for something real. The world outside could condemn them, enemies could use their love as a weapon, but here, in this stolen space, nothing else mattered. Every touch, every glance, became a silent vow. They would fight for this love, no matter the cost. Victor's grip tightened around her waist, pulling her closer, as if anchoring himself to her amidst the chaos. Lily clung to him, feeling the heat of his body against hers, knowing that what they were doing was forbidden, dangerous even. But she also knew that this was what her heart had been longing for, something pure, something real, in a world that told her she could never have it. They knew that love like theirs was a fire that could burn everything down, yet neither wanted to let go. Against all the rules, against all the fears, they chose each other. Because sometimes, love refuses to be contained, no matter how impossible the odds. No matter how much the world might try to keep them apart, they had found something worth fighting for, a love that burned brighter than any danger around them. If you're captivated by their daring romance, leave a like, subscribe for more, and comment below, where are you watching from? Because what happens next will challenge everything you believed about love, loyalty, and defiance. The night had started like any other, shadows dancing across the opulent walls of Viktor Malkovich's mansion. But what followed was a chaos that shattered the fragile peace they had built. An explosion rocked the estate, an act of betrayal so brutal it left everyone trembling. Flames lit up the sky, smoke billowing as enemies seized their chance to strike. Lily, caught in the chaos, was thrown to the ground, her ears ringing from the blast. When she looked up, she saw Viktor, his face grim and bloodied, fighting to keep his composure amid the destruction. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, someone she never expected to see, her own brother, holding a blackmail note. The words cut deep, an accusation that Viktor had betrayed the family, selling secrets to their enemies. It was a trap, designed to destroy Viktor's empire, and her trust in him was shattered in an instant. As chaos erupted outside, Viktor took Lily's hand and pulled her into a hidden corridor, away from the bombs and gunfire. His eyes, usually cold and calculating, now burned with a mixture of fury and desperation. "They've twisted everything," he whispered hoarsely. "They want to ruin us, and I don't know who I can trust anymore." But Lily's heart was pounding with doubt. The man she loved was suddenly a suspect in a conspiracy that could cost him everything, including his life. The blackmail note threatened to reveal secrets that could topple Viktor's entire empire, and worse, it threatened her safety too. Outside, the mansion was under attack, gunfire echoing through the halls, shadows slipping in to seize their moment. Viktor's enemies were closing in, ready to dismantle everything he'd fought for. And in that moment, Viktor faced an impossible choice: surrender his power to save his life, or fight to protect his empire, even if it meant risking her life in the process. His voice was strained with anguish. "I can't let them win. Giving up everything I've built isn't an option. But if I stay, I risk losing you, and everything I care about." Lily's eyes filled with tears as she stepped closer, her voice trembling but resolute. "You don't have to choose between us. I'm willing to stand by you, no matter what. I believe in us, believe you're innocent. And I'll do whatever it takes to prove it." Her words cut through the chaos like a knife. She reached out, grabbing his hand tightly, a silent vow that she wouldn't leave his side. Viktor hesitated, torn between his duty and his love, knowing that the path ahead was perilous. But something in her gaze, steadfast and fearless, made him realize that he didn't have to face this alone. His grip tightened as he looked into her eyes. "If I lose everything, my empire, my reputation, if I lose you, then none of it was worth it. I'll protect you, no matter what it costs me." Outside, the gunfire grew louder, the enemies closing in. The mansion's walls trembled with the fight. Viktor knew that to save her, he might have to sacrifice his throne, his power, even his very identity. But Lily's unwavering presence gave him strength. She proved her willingness to stand in the fire with him, her loyalty unshaken, her love unbreakable. And in that moment of darkness, amidst the chaos and danger, they made a silent pact: no matter what the world threw at them, they would fight together. Because love, true, fierce, and unyielding, was worth every risk. The choice was his: give up everything or fight for the future they believed in. And Viktor knew one thing for certain: with Lily by his side, he would never walk away. The night had fallen into chaos, the mansion trembling from the fierce battle raging within its walls. Viktor Malkovich, the feared Mafia boss, and Lily stood back to back, fighting not just enemies but the very forces threatening to tear them apart forever. The traitor, someone they had once trusted, had finally been exposed, and now, face to face, Victor and Lily prepared for the decisive showdown. Their love, forbidden and dangerous, was on the line, and they knew this moment would define everything they believed in. As shadows crept through the corridors, Victor drew his gun, eyes blazing with determination. Lily, clutching a silver dagger, met his gaze with unwavering resolve. They were risking everything, power, safety, their very lives, to prove that their love was stronger than any threat. The traitor appeared, his face twisted with betrayal, revealing himself as one of Victor's closest allies. "This ends now," Victor growled, stepping forward. "You've crossed the line, and I won't let you destroy everything I've built." The traitor sneered, drawing his own weapon. "You think love can save you? You're blinded. Power is all that matters." But Lily, her voice trembling yet fierce, responded, "Love is what gives us strength. We're fighting for a future where we can be together, no matter what anyone says." Without hesitation, Victor lunged, engaging in a brutal duel. Gunfire echoed through the hall, sparks flying as metal clashed. Lily darted forward, distracting the traitor with a swift blow, forcing him off balance. It was a fight not just of weapons but of hearts, each stroke, each move, a testament to their unbreakable bond. Suddenly, the traitor aimed at Victor, who narrowly dodged the shot, and Lily saw her chance. She threw herself in front of Victor, taking the bullet meant for him. Time seemed to freeze, her body crumpled, blood seeping through her clothes. Victor's scream of anguish echoed through the chaos. No. This wasn't supposed to happen. His love, his light, was dying before his eyes. Rage and despair surged within him, fueling his final attack. With a surge of fury, Victor disarmed the traitor and forced him to surrender. As the dust settled, Victor cradled Lily in his arms, tears streaming down his face. "You have to stay with me," he whispered, voice choked with emotion. "You're the only thing that matters." Her eyes fluttered open, weak but filled with love. "I believe in us," she murmured. "We can still fight for our future, together." The enemies had been defeated, but the cost was heartbreak. Victor looked at her, knowing that in choosing her, he was risking everything, his power, his empire, his very life. Yet in her eyes he saw a future worth fighting for. Lily, trembling but determined, reached out and took his hand. "Promise me," she whispered, "that love is stronger than any throne or title. Promise me we'll never give up." Victor nodded, sealing their vow with a kiss, raw, desperate, and full of hope. In that moment, amidst the ruins of their world, they proved that their love was worth fighting for. No matter the dangers, the betrayals, or the sacrifices, they would stand together, fighting side by side, bound by a love that refused to die. Because sometimes, the greatest victory isn't in winning a battle, but in choosing each other in the face of everything. And they had made their choice. Forever. The weight of the world seemed to press down on Viktor Malkovich as he stood at the edge of his old empire, watching the flames of his past burn away. For years, he had built a life filled with danger, power, and secrets, yet standing there now, he realized that none of it mattered anymore. The night's chaos, the betrayals, and the violence had shown him that true strength wasn't in the threats or the throne he once fought so hard to hold. It was in the love he had found with Lily, the girl who had dared to believe in him, despite everything. Victor took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill his lungs. A decision crystallized inside him, clear as the dawn breaking on the horizon. He would leave behind the life of shadows, the violence, and the constant danger. For Lily, he would find a new beginning, one built on hope, trust, and love. Turning away from his crumbling empire, Victor reached out and gently took Lily's hand. Her eyes, bright with hope and love, met his. In that moment, he saw the future they could create, free from fear, full of promise. Lily, who had endured so much, smiled softly, knowing that her courage had helped him find this new path. Together, they stepped into the dawn, leaving behind the darkness that once defined their worlds. In the days that followed, Victor dedicated himself to building a different life, one where he could be more than just a mafia boss. He opened a small, humble cafe in a quiet neighborhood, a place where love and hope could flourish without fear. Lily, with her unwavering spirit, pursued her dreams of education, determined to forge her own destiny beyond the shadows of her past. As they worked side by side, they proved that love was stronger than fear. Their bond grew deeper, rooted in shared dreams of a future free from violence and secrets. They faced challenges, yes, but each obstacle only strengthened their resolve. Victor's past still whispered its dangers, but he refused to let that define them. Instead, he embraced the new life they were creating, one built on honesty, loyalty, and a love unshaken by the storms they had endured. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that love had conquered their fears. They had dared to hope, to believe in a better tomorrow, and that hope was now their greatest strength. Love had given them the courage to start anew, to build a life where trust and happiness reigned. Their story became a testament to the power of love overcoming even the darkest past. Because sometimes, the greatest victory isn't in fighting for power or wealth, it's in choosing to love and to heal together. Victor and Lily's journey showed that, no matter how impossible the odds, love can illuminate the way to a brighter future. And that, in the end, is the most beautiful victory of all. If you enjoyed this story of hope and love conquering fear, please like the video, subscribe for more inspiring tales, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Because everyone deserves a chance at a new beginning, and love's power can transform even the darkest past into a shining future.